Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Fifth Floor, a podcast about creativity, art, and photography. My name is Athina, and I am your host. So, today I wanted to start with a bit of a story time. So, back in 2016, I was in this phase of rediscovering creativity. I had just started picking up a camera, and slowly I was beginning to unlock or maybe demystify some of the misconceptions I had around creativity and art. And during that time, in May, Chase Jarvis launched this series on YouTube called 30 Days of Genius. Every day for a month, he would sit down for these long-form conversations with people like Seth Godin, Marie Forleo, Gary Vee, Austin Kleon. I know it might not sound that exciting now, but trust me, 10 years ago, it was kind of a big deal. And it was like every time one of them said something, it opened a new window in my mind. And then came an episode with Luna. She shared this quote by Joseph Campbell: "Follow your bliss and don't be afraid, and doors will open where you didn't know they existed." And then she mentioned one of my all-time favorite books, Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. That really stayed with me. A month later, I went to this photo workshop, which had some amazing teachers and participants. One of the guests was Phil Toledano, and he started talking about conceptual photography, a term I hadn't heard before, but it felt really close to how I was starting to think about photography. Mind-blowing. And then more classes followed, more workshops, more talks. I met some incredibly inspiring people. Some I stayed in touch with, others I just crossed paths with once. But they all left an imprint. So now why am I telling you all this? Not to name drop, even though it sounds like it, but because today I wanted us to talk about mentors. Not necessarily in the traditional sense, someone who gives you advice and support one-on-one in a more formal way. I wanted us to talk about mentors in a broader, more metaphorical sense. So what do I mean by that? When we talk about creativity, we often hear stories of the great mentor, the wise teacher, the inspirational guide, the one person who changes everything. But what if you don't have that? What if you live in a small town, or you're just getting started, or you can't find your person yet? So here's the truth. You don't need one perfect mentor. You can build your own creative support system from unexpected places. So let's redefine mentorship. There is this myth, the idea that one all-knowing mentor will magically show up at the perfect time to guide you to success or enlightenment. In reality, though, growth doesn't usually work that way. Most of the time, it's not one voice that shapes us, it's a constellation of them. Mentorship can be distributed. A peer might challenge your thinking. A podcast might shift your perspective. A passing comment might spark a breakthrough. And that doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're building your own network, one that reflects where you are, what you value, and where you want to go. This kind of mentorship isn't just about support. It actually fuels creativity. Because when you're exposed to different voices, different ways of thinking, you start to synthesize them. You make something new, something yours. The danger in clinging to the one mentor myth is that it can make us passive. It puts us in this waiting mode, like we're just sitting around hoping someone will show up and save us. But the truth is, we don't have to wait. We can start learning, building, and growing from the people, ideas, and experiences all around us. So where does mentorship hide? Let's look at 5 sources of mentorship you might already have in your life. So the first one would be books and biographies. Reading about someone's creative journey gives you the behind-the-scenes look at how growth really happens. You get to see the doubts, the dead ends, the persistence, and you start to realize that this is not a linear process. Then we have podcasts and interviews. When you hear creators talk through their work, their choices, their mistakes, their mindset, it's like real-time mentorship. It's not just about what they say, it's how they think, how they stay curious, how they keep going, how they find solutions to their struggles. Then we have online communities and peers. Sometimes the best support doesn't come from someone above you. It comes from someone walking right beside you. People at your level can offer insight, encouragement, and lived experience. You don't always need a master to validate your path. Learning happens sideways too. Then you can look at your past work. Looking back at your old projects can be its own kind of mentorship. You see how far you have come, the patterns you tend to repeat, the risks you used to take or maybe stopped taking. Your past self becomes a mirror, sometimes a teacher, and sometimes a nudge forward. And finally, your creative heroes. Even if you never meet them, the artists and thinkers who inspire you can still guide you. Their work, whether it's a book, a painting, a photograph, even a notebook, becomes a form of silent mentorship. It shows you what's possible and invites you to respond in your own way. The truth is, your mentors might never know your name, but they have helped shape your path anyway. Mentorship doesn't have to come from just one person. It can be something you actively build, like a patchwork quilt. Follow creators who challenge and inspire you, not just the ones who echo what you already know. Collect quotes, ideas, lessons that resonate with you. Write them down, screenshot them, come back to them often. Ask yourself better questions. Not just what would my mentor do, but what can I learn from this moment? Who has faced something similar? Or even what can I try, fail at, and grow through on my own? Creativity isn't something you inherit, it is something you build. If there's a photographer or artist you admire, dive deep, buy their photo book, study their choices, follow their process, take notes and experiment. Some things will click, others will not. But through that personal engagement, you start shaping a creative voice that's uniquely yours. I used to think photography was just about capturing the decisive moment, street photography, real life as it happens. That was my understanding. Then I discovered Brooke Shaden. She creates composite photos, real emotional art pieces using Photoshop. It blew my mind and completely changed how I saw what photography could be. That is when I realized that there is no one right way. There are endless styles, endless paths. You listen, you try, you experiment, and you keep what feels true to you. The rest, you let go and keep moving forward. If you're feeling isolated or stuck, remember, you're not doing it wrong. Creative journeys often feel that way. Here's a little exercise. Think of 3 silent mentors, authors, artists, friends, even fictional characters, and write down one lesson each has quietly taught you. Okay, and to close this up, mentorship isn't about waiting for someone to show up and guide you. It is about noticing the lessons all around you and building your own creative path, one patch at a time. So keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep trusting your unique voice. At least that is what I think. Okay, but before you go, and if this has helped you in any way, please send it to one friend who needs to hear this today. And never forget in your life that we have a new podcast every Wednesday. To visit fifthfloor.me and subscribe to our newsletter to get updates. Follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and share if you liked and leave a review. If you're listening via YouTube, please subscribe and share any topics you wish us to discuss or to expand on more. Okay, bye for now and thank you for being here. See you on the next one.